haven't streamed in a few days, just planning out a bunch of content and stuff moving forward that I want to make for you guys, because I want to make my shit more educational, more entertaining for you guys. So I've been planning a lot of shit, so I haven't been streaming for a couple of days, but by next week I should be back to a normal streaming schedule. But we got a good one for you guys today, because Myron, Nick, and Tate decided to do a podcast today, and I thought this would be a great idea because I had a bit of time to be able to just hop on and go over what they're talking about, because there's definitely a lot of stuff that I could pull out of what they're saying, that would be super, super beneficial to you guys. So I want to make sure to do that right now. We should be, all right, got that jump shared. But yeah, now it's actually really great to see them actually link up all together and decide to talk to each other, because in just so many regards, because they're well versed in so many regards, whether it be masculinity, success, politics, like just understanding the truth on so many things. And it's just so important for all young men to be able to know the truth about everything. And because they're so well versed in all these different things and understanding the truth in a lot of these different things, it's just so great to see them all come together. And I just know, I'm like, oh, I bet I definitely could drag some shit out of this. So I'm like, bro, I got to make this happen for you niggas, bro. So let's fucking do it, bro. Let's fucking do it. All right, I think we're good to go. I just have it paused up here. I think what I'll continue to do, if I can't stream the next few days, but like I said, like next week, I'm going to get back to just normal streaming schedule. Like, we'll go through the rest of it, because I think they've already gone like 2 hours in or whatever. So even if they stop it now, I might go back to the beginning and then we can go through straight. But for now, we're just going to jump in right now live until, they decide to hop off, and then we'll see what happens from there. So, all right, let me get this shit in Prezi mode for you niggas. And all right, let's cook. Let's cook.
Force. That was the promise. People forget that, because a lot of people weren't around back then. Maybe they're too young. Maybe they weren't on board. Maybe they weren't Trump supporters. But in 2016, he said in his inaugural or in his announcement speech, actually in June of.
Oh, I think he's talking about in 2016 when Trump got elected. I'm pretty sure is what he's going over right now.
2015, he said, we need a leader. We need someone who is literally going to take the country and make it great. And I loved like that language. Take the country. I alone can fix it. I will take this country and make it great. That was the kind of rhetoric. He said in April in 2016, he said, we will no longer surrender this country or its people to the siren song of globalism. In October 2016, he said Hillary Clinton.
And that immediately stopped happening.
Clinton is controlled by international bankers, donors, special interests. They're colluding to take over the country. Like the rhetoric, people forget how hardcore it was from the very beginning. And the promise.
And it's funny, though, because at least I remember, because I wasn't even into politics at all back then during like 2016, because I was a sophomore in high school. So seeing how like divisive everything felt, because before that, obviously we had like Obama, who was in power at the time. So it was like everything felt so normal from a political standpoint. Like I didn't even like, all I knew was that Obama was black and he was the president, and that's lit. You know what I'm saying? That's all I knew. I didn't even know, like during that time before, I didn't even realize how divisive politics actually was. Well, I would say with the Trump era, it became a lot more divisive because he was really polarizing coming in. So it became a lot more divisive. But I remember in 2016, like when I was a sophomore in high school, that's when I realized, I'm like, oh shit. Because I was even in a government class during that period. That's when I was like learning about how like the government works, and the executive branch, the judicial branch, the legislative branch. Like I was learning about how the government fundamentally worked when I was like 15 or like 16 when I was a sophomore. So I was like, damn, I didn't even realize how divisive it was. And then he got elected while I was in this government class or during that time. So it was just so funny to see that even the principal of my high school had to come on the mic and be like, everybody calm down. Calm down. So even when he's going over here, like it makes so much sense to like hear, because it's like, yeah, this nigga must have been coming in, because I wasn't listening to any of his rhetoric. Like I was saying, like I wasn't even caring about politics at all. All I knew was Obama was black, he was the president, whatever. But like the way everybody was even responding without me being aware of politics already like told me like, whoa, something new is clearly happening here with Trump getting elected. Like niggas are scared. Niggas think wild shit is about to happen very clearly. So I'm like, oh shit, like this completely, like what the rhetoric that he must have had during 2016 must have actually been crazy and different during that time. Like, yeah.
Of 16, to put it succinctly, was anti-corruption. It was that the people, Well, and what's more, he said the people are not being put first because the politicians are controlled by the money. He said, we don't have real victories. We never win. Our people.
And I think that kind of rhetoric makes a lot of sense because Trump was not like a career politician, right? He made a lot of his money doing in entrepreneurship before he went into politics. So it's like coming in even with that rhetoric helps out a lot because he can be like, oh, I'm anti-corruption. I'm anti-politicians being corrupt because he was outside of that game, you know? But it's the crazy thing is when you get into a game, it can slowly corrupt you, which is funny.
People are not being prioritized. And why is this? Politicians won't take action. Why? They're paralyzed by money. They're not really in control. The money is in control. He said, so the only way to fix it is if an extremely rich person from the oligarchy, without taking donor money, without the special interest, if one person could get in and kind of get in the middle and get rid of all this corruption and ignore the media, ignore the press, ignore the money, and only then could they actually take action and deliver real reform, real revolutionary change. That's the kind of shit that, like, dude, like, yes, that is what we needed.
So I have a question for you both because I think we're going to wrap up here and we're going to have to do the rest of this another time. But I have a question for you both. Let's assume.
So like a good thing is like, yeah, we're gonna go back through. Like if they stop now, we're just gonna go back through and then we'll just start from the beginning, which is actually good, which is what I wanted anyway, since we hopped in here kind of late.
Everything you've said is true. Let's assume it's a big club and we ain't in it. Let's assume that the politicians are working against the people and everyone thinks they're stupid, but they're not actually stupid. They're just working for the people they really work for, which is not you. It's the money, it's the banks, it's the globalists, it's the international interests. We understand that the Democrats and the Republicans are the same. If we understand that nobody is coming to save us, if we understand that it is extremely optimistic to put all of this monumental failure down to some degree of ineptitude, when truthfully it is a managed decline and it is very purposeful. And they're doing all of this on purpose. Let's assume that all of that is true, which is the conclusions I came to also. And the only answer I found for this was trying to implement a degree of individual exceptionalism amongst my fans, saying, look, it's all fucked. You need to get as rich as you can, as strong as you can, as charismatic as you can. You need to be uncancelable. You need to have people listen to you. You need to go out there and show that you're not afraid of them. Individual exceptionalism was the only answer I came to combating all of these things. Is there another answer? Was I wrong? What else can we be doing? What else can we be encouraging people to do? Because everything Nick has said is
So to give you guys just a little bit of background on this like situation, basically, or even how just I've seen that this podcast ended up coming to be because it all started on like Twitter, basically. So basically, Nick's fan base, the Groypers, right? Basically, Tate kind of had an issue with them because he felt like his fan base or Nick's fan base were kind of just in this like basement dweller. Oh, it's the fucking Jews. Everything's the Jews. Every bad thing that is happening in our country right now is because of the Jews. And Tate's kind of looking at them and being like, well, okay, that's true. But sitting there and just saying that isn't enough. You guys need to get richer, faster, stronger, smarter, more charismatic, more influential, right? In order to overcome this situation, right? Like your army basically needs to be strong is the point that Tate was making towards Nick. And Nick was already having issues with a guy named Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens at the time. He was arguing with them because basically Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson basically did a hit piece on Nick saying that he was a fed or he wasn't legit and all this other kind of yada yada nonsense, basically. And so like then Tate kind of came in and was talking about Nick's fan base and being like, you guys could be doing more. You guys could be becoming stronger and doing better shit so that this situation actually gets taken care of. Because just being a basement dweller and sitting on your phone and tweeting on X like, oh, what's the Jews about everything? It doesn't really do anything. So obviously Nick's fan base had an issue with Tate doing that. And then they were going back at him saying, oh, you're controlled by Jews. Yup, this is an organized attack. Because it looked like now it was Candace, Tucker Carlson, and Tate all against Nick at the same time, which is weird. Which was weird to Nick's fan base. So now like it just became this whole thing. And so then Tate and then Nick decided to actually sit and have a conversation, or they were tweeting back at each other talking about how like, all right, bro, let's just have a conversation about this shit. So we get it clear on what each other meant, because they honestly agree on the same shit. I think it's just because Nick's fan base was kind of getting mad at this situation that it's like, all right, bro, let's have a meeting on this. And then Myron decided to come in here too, because not that he was having a similar issue going on. It's just kind of like he's also in a similar boat that they are in terms of being canceled for saying the truth about a lot of different things. So like it just makes sense for him to be here. The three most canceled men on the internet, basically. And so that's how that ended up coming to be. But yeah, so that's kind of where now like Tate's making that point now, because it looks like he's got to leave, where he's saying, hey, like at the end of the day, if everything is fucked up already, then the only way to fix everything being fucked up is if tons and tons of men become as important and as capable as possible while knowing the truth. Because it's one thing to just know the truth about something and say the truth about something. And this is kind of where I'll get my position on the whole kind of situation. And I'm kind of like in more of Tate's boat here in terms of my own opinion on this. So if the country is corrupt, if America is corrupt, right, mainly by Jews is really what the situation that we're looking at right now, and everything is shit. Well, it's one thing to know the truth about a situation and be honest about a situation and be like, okay, these are the people who are causing the problems, right? There's Jewish supremacy in America, and it's causing a ton of problems for Americans, right? Because if Jews control the government, then that means they are not going to act in the best interest of Americans. They're going to act in the best interest of the Jewish homeland, which is Israel, which is obviously an issue. You know what I'm saying? Especially because you as an American want the government to work for you and by you, right? Because that means you're being put first because you actually fucking live here. So that obviously makes sense as a problem. So it's good to say the truth about that and be honest about that shit. But like nothing's going to change just if you know and you say it. You actually have to do things about it. Well, how do we do things about it? Well, this is where Tate's position comes in. And I agree with his position a lot, where it's like, okay, everything is shitty. Everything is fucked. We're controlled. We're being subverted by a certain particular group of people, being the Jews right now. Well, the only way we can overcome this shit is if everybody becomes as capable as possible. If everybody becomes richer, smarter, faster, stronger, more capable. Because when you're richer, faster, stronger, and more capable, you're not afraid of anything. When you're strong, there's nothing to fear, right? This is why America has been extremely safe, generally speaking. This is why we've been able to have bullshit like feminism, for example, because the country has become so safe because we're a military power. So we can afford to have ideologies that are not good for stabilizing a country, because we can defend any country from invading us because we have massive weapons. We have nuclear weapons that could destroy the entire planet. Understand? So basically, you can extrapolate that to what's going on in America right now, in the sense of, if we have an issue with the people who are controlling our government, the only way we can fix this shit is if everyone becomes as capable as possible and is like, get the fuck out, stop doing this shit. But when you're just some random, basement dweller in your basement in a dark room saying, oh, it's the Jews, it's obviously the Jews, look at all this information, that is good. And I'm not going to deny that being good, because if nobody's talking about it, nobody really knows. We need people talking about it. But if you do that and become as capable and strong as possible, that's where shit actually starts getting changed. Because it's not one thing just to talk about it. It's great to talk about it. It's great that to grow awareness about an issue and or problem. But if you really want shit to get changed, right, you have to be capable. You have to be able to do things. You have to be influential. You have to become as smart as possible, as rich as possible, as important as possible to the world. Because people will be forced to listen to you. And you can actually do things, especially when you have money and influence. You can do things. You can create groups. You can go outside and actually do things, right? So that's kind of like where I personally agree with Tate on this, is like, the Jewish thing is obviously a massive problem, right? And I think it's becoming more and more clear, and more Americans are starting to realize it, which is great. I think it's absolutely awesome. We, as many people to know as possible. But now it's becoming increasingly important that the next step is everybody needs to become as important as possible. Now everybody needs to become as strong as possible. Okay, good. We know the truth. Now we need to become capable, because then we can change shit. It's not enough to just know anymore. Knowing things is great, but application is what really is important, what creates real change at the end of the day. So that's what I'm saying all to you guys now too. Like, you want to become as capable as possible. And that's why I kind of already do what I do on my channel. My channel is for the fam, for young, ambitious men, because I want you guys to become as strong and as capable as possible and be able to accomplish all your goals. And a lot of the mental models and strategies that I teach on my YouTube are all about becoming as capable as possible, learning what it takes to be able to achieve your goals, because those same things can be applied to you gaining power so you can change the world in a way that everyone in America, because I would assume a lot of my audience is going to be from the US, can benefit, right? So you need to become as capable as possible. You need to be able to achieve things. So you need to understand what it takes to achieve things. And then when you understand what it takes and you take action, you achieve things, you can change the country. You can change things. Power is the only thing that changes anything, right? Words are important to give people knowledge and awareness, but power is actually what creates change. So hope you guys understand that shit, because it's just so important. Like, yes, know things, be knowledgeable, understand where the problems are at, but also become strong enough to solve the problems. And the more men that are capable, the better. Because a side issue of this that I realized too is that a lot of Knicks fan base, they're kind of in this position where, well, I don't want them to know that they're an issue because they'll cancel me. But what they're simply not playing out is that, well, if everyone is becoming as capable as possible, you can't cancel everyone. Because similarly, when people were talking about Israel and what's going on in Palestine after October 7th, like they could still like cancel people, or even before October 7th, I mean, they could cancel people instantly because there was only so few people talking about it. But now pretty much everybody can talk about it without getting canceled, right? Obviously, if you have a massive platform, you could still deal with some issues, but a lot of people have massive platforms, like Candace, especially for an example, like she's talking about it openly and she's not getting completely canceled off the internet because they can't do that shit anymore because everybody's talking about it. They can't cancel everybody. Just like if there's 100 strong men getting ready to do something, it's hard to stop all of them. But if you're a basement dweller and you just talk about the Jews in your basement, it's like, sure, that's great. People know. But if you just became strong too, and then your homie became strong, and then the homie of that homie became strong too, now it's like they can't stop you. Nobody can stop a bunch of strong men getting ready to do some shit. It's literally the most powerful force on the planet. When a bunch of strong men decide to all pool their energy towards something, like, it's ridiculous. There's nothing you can do. And that's why fundamentally I agree so much with Tate's position on this whole thing. It's just like, we just need more strong niggas. All these issues, especially socially, come from the lack of strong men. That's the problem. If there's more masculine men, a lot of these issues get solved. Because when you're masculine and you become as capable, as strong, and as smart, as charismatic, and influential as possible, nobody can really do anything to you. You're an issue. You're a threat now. And then imagine there's a bunch of y'all. Now it's like you're unstoppable. There's nothing you can't do. So the pursuit of power is the most important thing for any man to have. If you don't have power, you just eventually bend your knee to those who are evil, which is honestly what has happened. That's why conservatism looks like, or traditional conservatism looks the way that it looks right now, because too many people are bending the knee, just bending the knee way too much. So anyway, let's continue. They're probably even done by now. Oh, they're still going live. All right, cool. But that's kind of my personal position on the situation. I pretty much agree with Tate. Bro, we need to become as capable as possible. The knowing and talking about it is 100% great and beautiful and awesome. But becoming as capable as possible and as important as possible is really what's going to change shit. So I feel like we're in that stage now, you know? Of course, keep talking about it, but we're in that stage where, okay, everybody needs to become capable. All men need to become masculine again to fix a lot of these issues. So, all right, let's keep going.
Completely correct. And I've known it for a very long time also. If you think a political party is going to fucking turn this shit around, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
So what is the answer? What do we tell people at home to do?
Because a lot of men underrate and think that you have to go through the government in order to invoke real change. But I would disagree with that. Once again, like, you can, if you become strong and capable as possible, you can go outside and make shit happen. Right. And it's just unfortunate because we're in this day and age where a lot of men kind of have this idea in their mind, because, which is true. And I'm not saying the concern is bad, to the sense of, well, I don't want to go out and get hurt or potentially die for this, and no other man is willing to take this risk with me. Understand? Like, that makes sense. That's reasonable. It's like, you don't want to go out and sacrifice all this shit and then nobody else is willing to fight with you and do the shit with you. But if there's more men that are willing to do this, and this is where becoming strong becomes increasingly important. If there's more men that are strong, when you are strong, you can take bigger risks because you're powerful. So if more men become more powerful, there's more men that can take a big risk. And this is all it takes to create a live army against something. You see, throughout all of time and through all civilizations, when the government was corrupt, when nobody liked what the government was fucking doing, what did the citizens or the men that lived in said area do? They were like, bro, we should overthrow the fucking government. And then they went and overthrew the government. They went right to the fucking government buildings of whatever civilization they were in, and they started destroying that shit. They got the pitchforks and the fire and all the other shit. And they're like, we're fucking tearing all this bullshit down because y'all niggas are not for the people, bro. And they destroy the shit. That's what has always happened. When the government is not performing the way it should be performing, the niggas get to ride it. That's what happens. And if I'm going to be completely real, liberals are really good at this. They do this shit. They go out, just start destroying shit. They say it's peaceful, but they be going out and destroying shit. You know, they're willing to bite the bullet and just make shit happen. You know, but unfortunately, conservatives especially are less willing to do that kind of nonsense. You know, and this is where the becoming strong becomes more important. You don't need to go to the government to fix the government. What you actually need to do is become as strong as possible and then get a bunch of other men who are strong and be like, let's just tear this shit down. Let's just get rid of this shit. The fuck is going on? This is clearly not for the people, by the people. What the fuck are you niggas doing? I'm telling you, it happens. You know, that's how all governments get changed for the better, because the men who lived in whatever civilization, if they were not getting treated well, they all banded together, started talking with each other and being like, the fuck, let's destroy this shit and make a new one. And that's what happened. They didn't go through the government. I'm not saying men should not go through the government. 100% infiltrate the government and become politicians to change shit and actually do shit by the people. But don't think that's the only way to fix the government. So, yeah, it's another thing too.
What is the solution to this problem?
Have to engage in politics. Have to engage in politics. You know, a lot of people are very down on it. People say, well, you know, we're not going to vote our way out of this. No, but if enough young people who are brilliant get involved in some way, either they become rich or they become influential, you know, in 20 years, we will have a different class of people that are running the show. And
yeah, and that's what my point is here. It's like, I'm not even disagreeing with like Nick's position here, like go through the government, because that's pretty much what Nick's position was here. It's like, okay, you should go through the government. I'm like, yeah, you should, but you don't have to. That's not the only way. You can also become rich and influential doing something completely different and then start marching in the streets with your niggas. You can do that. You can do that. Right. And then or you could just directly go into politics, directly infiltrate. And then from there, you could also rise up and change the system too. It doesn't have to be, people think that there's just this, and I think that's what has happened between Tate and Nick and not Nick necessarily. I believe Nick really agrees with what Tate's saying here, and Tate and Nick's fan base. It's kind of like they think that Tate is wrong because he's saying become strong. And, you know, Tate thinks the Groypers are wrong for thinking, oh, no, we actually have to be quiet to infiltrate the government. I'm like, well, you can actually just do both. You can infiltrate the government quietly, and you can also become as strong as possible outside of the government, and then work outside of the government and become as strong and as loud as possible outside of it, and get other strong men to become as strong as capable as possible, and then do shit about the government. Understand? It's like both games you can win in. Ideally, if everybody's just doing both, you infiltrating fucking politics, and at the same time over here you have a bunch of men out here who are becoming as strong as possible. You have a ton of men that are infiltrating politics. We'll be good still. The point is, either way, you have to become as strong as possible, whether it's infiltrating politics or you're doing something else on the outside to gain influence and status and money and whatever, and then it still works. Like, it still all works is basically my point here. It all works, y'all. Like,
you know, maybe if nothing else, I mean, this is how I sort of imagine it in my mind. We need to create a cadre, a revolutionary class. And by that, I mean, we need lawyers, professionals, entrepreneurs, money people, political people that when called upon, when summoned, can go to Washington, D.C. and run our society for a revolutionary new regime. Because we effectively had that opportunity with Trump. I just think about it from my experience. Trump won the election in 16 and he had no gang. He didn't have any niggas with him. It was just him. So it's like, who do you run the Treasury? Who do you run the State Department? Well, you got to fall back on who's there. And that's Wall Street. That's the bureaucracy. That's the usual suspects. That's because there was no cadre. You know, they had this.
And that's my whole point here. It's not like, let's just have guys who are infiltrating the government. It's like, no, let's have guys who know this, accept this truth, and are becoming as rich and influential as possible in other realms. And then when a nigga, right, is in the government that is for the people, by the people, and is actually American first, everybody's willing to fuck with, bro. That's what happens. That's how you change stuff. That's literally the whole thing. And I think about this too, because he's even mentioning that's what it was like with Trump. At least from my personal experience of what I was seeing when I started paying attention to politics, at least a little bit more, was seeing that's basically what liberals do. Whenever a Democratic president wins, like, liberalism infiltrates every single medium. Like every medium of anything, whether it be entertainment, because think about it, liberalism, it controls entertainment, especially when a Democratic president is in power, right? They'll be in power. The liberals control entertainment. Even the workforce, corporate America, same thing. Liberalism mindset, progressive mindset. The schools, everything, trans flags, all that there. You see what I'm saying? They'll go and infiltrate every single medium of society. And it goes all the way back to the government. And basically what Nick's saying here too, that I'm like, this is so fucking facts. If we just get niggas infiltrating every single side of everything, whether it be government or entrepreneurship, or as he said, lawyers, doctors, every medium, and they also fuck with a nigga who's in the government, you know, who is actually America first and has proven it, then we're lit. Then we're good. It's over with. That's what we need. There's not enough people in other mediums of other shit that are also America first. That's the real issue too. Which is why, even more that I was agreeing with what Tate was saying, is like, no, it's not even just about infiltrating politics, bro. It's about knowing this shit. Yes, and you can get involved in politics if you want to, but even if you don't, you have to know this shit and then become as powerful as possible in whatever medium you're in, and then openly support niggas, right, who are America first. That's how you should work, because nobody can stop you if you're strong and you're good at what you do. Like, you can't be stopped. There's literally nothing stopping you at all. So
idea that they would, you know, they had a website called greatagain.org. They were going to solicit resumes from all the hillbillies and hill people of America. You know, and there are obvious reasons why they trashed that or whatever. But a big reason is they didn't have the personnel. There was no political will. They didn't have organization. So I'm a big believer in people need to create this revolutionary class. That's kind of been my project. And before we get going, though, everybody in the live chat's asking about Vance. Can we talk about that before we all wrap this up?
Yeah, absolutely, bro. You know, I'm hanging out. I'm going to continue streaming after this, so I'm not in a rush. I know, Andrew, it's late for you, Andrew, so I know you might have to go. Nick, I'm going to be here anyway, so if you want to stay on, you're more than welcome. And we could chop it up more about politics. But yeah, we could definitely talk about Vance if you want. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm just wondering, because we kind of touched on it earlier, and Andrew,
That's why I asked you that question. I was looking at chat. I was like, that's why I asked you to with Vance. Yeah. Well, go ahead. Take it away.
And Andrew, you said that, you know, you and Tristan like Vance because Vance is an advocate for you guys in Europe and Romania. So that's why I wasn't going to lean in, but I do just wonder, what is your position on Vance? Do you support him, or what's going on there?
Well, it's the infinitely divisible problem. I mean, I'm not going to lie and pretend I know as much about him as you do. You know a lot more about him than I do. You seem to know his sources of funding and all these things. And I don't like to preach ignorance, but it's true. You know a lot more about him than I do. It's a matter of, he is the only one who is sticking up for Europeans' rights to speak freely. He is the only one who mentioned what happened in this country where I have Romanian children. He's the only person in the entire American administration. He was all over wall-to-wall news in Romania, and the Romanians were very afraid of what he was saying. He's the only one sticking up for people in the UK and the ability, their complete lack of the ability to speak. Now, I'm not saying that everything else he's done is perfect. I'm not saying I know his history inside out, but I am saying on a base level, initially, what he is saying, I completely agree with.
And basically, to sum up, the main reason why I believe, I mean, he's going to go over himself for why he doesn't believe it, but what I've seen is that the main reason why Nick doesn't mess with him is because he's seems not America first because he does not have a white wife. And Nick is a white nationalist, obviously. So he's just like, I want to preserve whiteness as much as possible. I want us to live in a white majority country. I'm not a particular race nationalist or a black nationalist or whatever. In terms of that, I'm an American nationalist, generally speaking, just what it means to be American, generally speaking. But for him, it's different. That's why he kind of doesn't like Vance, because he literally has an Indian wife. And it's like, the fuck? How can you claim to be America first and you're basically fucking with niggas that are outside of the country? Like, that means you basically are allied to India in that sense. Does that make sense? And from a nationalist perspective, that goes against it, especially a white nationalist perspective. So that's just Nick's perspective on that. I'm not obviously a white nationalist or a black nationalist or any particular race nationalist. I'm an American nationalist for sure. Like, I fucking love America and I want everything to be done for and by America, of course. But yeah, that's kind of like why Nick doesn't have an issue with him. But I mean, he'll be able to say it better for himself anyway. But that's just what I've seen, to sum it up very quickly for you guys.
Perhaps when that battle is won, then the infinitely divisible problem, once, perhaps if Europe gets turned around and he doesn't have to talk about that anymore, he might say something else I disagree with. But what I've seen of him on the issue I care about, I'm 100% aligned with him. So now you can easily say, but did you know his money came from that? I didn't know. What I did know is that he was the one who was wall to wall in Romania saying what you're doing here is garbage and bullshit. So I support his view he had there, and I respect the fact that he was the one sticking up for us here in Europe. And I'm not saying he's a perfect person for the same reason.
And one thing I will say that I think is super important that people need to realize when they want to get shit done, especially from just a government standpoint, especially if we want to rebuild a system that is for Americans, by Americans, and just generally speaking, uplifts men again and uplifts masculinity again and being strong and being important and being capable, and just being superior overall in terms of power from a male perspective. Like, you have to be able to set your differences aside when you have a common enemy. You just kind of have to, right? Right now, it's Israel, of course. So basically, as long as somebody is against Israel, right, they can be viewed as an ally at the current moment. And Tate actually was using a very good word there when he was talking about it's infinitely divisible. Basically, you can always find something you dislike about someone. I even said tweet recently that, like, I believe the more intelligent you become, the more you realize there's something that you like and hate about literally everyone on the planet. There's literally, if you really sat there and studied and tried your best to understand someone, you'll always find out that there's always something that you like and hate about anyone. So using the word they use, it's infinitely divisible. Like, you can always find something you disagree with, but we always have to be looking at the bigger picture, because that's actually how you get shit done. You have to look at the bigger picture, right? Sure, they might be doing this one weird thing and that weird thing, and that's an issue and that's a problem. And you can state that, but you also have to be willing to set your differences aside when something is more important. Right now, the country is controlled by Israel. Fine. Okay, we all know that. So the biggest issue is to stop them from controlling our government. Okay, so this means anyone who is willing to say, I don't want them to control our government anymore, and their actions also show it too. Not them just saying it, because action matters more than words, obviously. What you do is actually who you are, not what you say, not what you think, what you do, right? So if they actionably show that, hey, I don't fuck with Israel anymore. Like Zohar Mondani, the guy who's running for mayor in New York, like, he's openly saying, nah, I ain't fucking with the Jewish supremacy shit, or I'm not messing with the way that Israel is controlling us. That's a huge problem. I don't fuck with them. And because of that shit, he's getting a ton of support just off that. Even though all the socialist nonsense and bullshit, ain't nobody rocking with that. Ain't nobody fucking with that. Hell no. But he doesn't fuck with Israel. So in that sense, I support him. I'm like, yeah, I hope he does win. Because there's a bigger picture here that we need to solve. And once that's solved, then we can get to the other shit that I have issues with. I can state what I do have an issue with that he does, but he's worrying about something that is more important right now. So a lot of times when you want to get shit done, you have to be willing to set the differences you may have with other people aside in order to focus on fixing an issue. We can get back to arguing and bickering later, nigga. Right now, we're being controlled by a government that is not for or by Americans. Let's fix that first. We got to have priorities. Like, when you're trying to achieve your goals, generally speaking, anyway. Do you do everything at all times, all the time? No. You split things into parts. You have priorities of work that you do. even when you're trying to accomplish any goal, just any goals that you're currently pursuing right now. It's not like you're doing everything at the same time or you're worried about all things at the same time. No, there's just one thing that you need to do right now that is more important than the other things that you have to complete first, right? In terms of importance, you're like, okay, well, I need to do this thing first, right? Before I go train, let's say you're trying to become a professional soccer player. Well, before you go train, you got to get your bag ready. Once your bag's ready, then you got to drive to the field. And then once you're at the field, you get your balls out and you start training. You see how like you went in an order of priorities? You can't start training if you're still at your house. Make sense? So you always have to be able to see the bigger picture and understand the steps that must come before. Because we have an infinite amount of things that we want to see that is better about America in general and the U.S. in general. But let's fix the biggest problem first. Right now, the people who run our country are not for America. All the other issues and bickering we have is an issue. It's fine, but it's just not as important as fixing that first. So we got to have priorities here. That's just what matters the most.
And I respect Elon for freeing us all on Twitter, and I completely disagree with him on a lot of other things. Perhaps maybe it's just, I'm an older man. Perhaps it is what it is. Perhaps I like to be respectful of people who I think are doing the right thing on some issues. I'm not going to pin him down on every single thing he does I disagree with when he's doing something important that I do agree with, and that fight's not over yet. Until that fight is over, until those orcs are slayed, I just want to let him to do what he's going to do because no one else.
And that's the point, because nobody else is. Right. Anyway, let me just let him finish speaking here.
Is doing it. That's my very simple view.
Yeah, it's just like that's just really what it is. We have to be able to see a bigger picture to get shit done. If we're constantly looking for shit to divide ourselves over, it never works ever. It never does. I'm not saying, and this is not me saying that you can't state if you have another issue with somebody. It's more like we have to be able to see the bigger picture on things. And as long as everybody's worried about the common enemy, is willing to work on that, fine. Let's just get that shit done first.
I think we got to slay the elves. I'm more worried about the elves than the orcs. We got to slay the dark elves, if you know what I'm saying, metaphorically and politically. I disagree. And I think that in 2027, the Groypers are going to overthrow Vance. Steve Bannon actually went on his show and he said that he might run in 2028 because he doesn't think Vance has what it takes. And I'm with Bannon on this one, because Vance is the connector for Silicon Valley. That's how he got the VP slot. That's what gave him all this clout. That's how he got in the Senate. He's the connector for Elon, for Peter Thiel, for David Sachs, for that whole crew. And maybe you're not interested in all that. And look, you have a different perspective. You're in Europe. I know a lot of Europeans that are super pro Vance because he is an advocate for those guys. On some level, I understand because you are in another country. I get that. But at least in America, this guy's a big problem, literally and figuratively. He's fat and he's like a major problem. So big, conceptually. And so for me, I said this the other day, 2027, the Groypers are going to descend on Iowa.
And even another thing too, if somebody isn't good, and see, this is the key thing with Nick disagreeing here that I'll touch on. See, the thing with Nick disagreeing here is Tate is like, well, nobody else is doing this one particular thing. For example, he said, okay, at least Elon took over X to allow free speech to be on the platform. But the thing is, if someone who was smarter than Elon or more capable than Elon financially, and in terms of just resources in general, could also have bought X and also have been America first, then that guy, yes, you would support him more than just base Elon, because he's more of the way that you want him to be. So it's less that, you can't, if the guy isn't perfect, you shouldn't fuck with him. It's more that the better the person is in terms of capability, in terms of them being able to fix an issue, then fine. If he's basically saying, no, the Groypers are going to take over, it's fine. We don't need that nigga because we got better niggas coming. Ain't no problem with that. There ain't nothing wrong with that. For him, for now, I know Tate even said like he just messes with Vance because like he is pro issues that involve Tate. He's like, oh yeah, so he's gonna help me out with this. I fuck with him. If somebody better than him was also willing to solve the same problem, then do you think Tate wouldn't be like, oh no, I like this dude better though because he does a better job? Obviously, he's gonna like the guy who does a better job. So I think it's less of, once again, they're like, to me, it's less that they even disagree on anything. They don't even really disagree. It's just more like Nick saying, no, I want the best possible person. And the thing is, Tate more than likely probably agrees with that. He's just like, well, Tate's more like, this is the best we've got currently. Let's work with it. Nick's like, we could actually have better. So let's get better. That's fine too. And I think Tate also agrees with that notion. He's just seeing what it is right now and making use of it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, they don't even really disagree. They agree with each other. It's just kind of like Tate's just using what's available.
And we will overthrow him. We will overthrow him over my dead body. Will he be the nominee? And you can have,
which is good. That's a good thing, though. You see what I'm saying? If we'd rather have you than Vance, for example, like we'd rather have just Nick instead of Vance, right? If he had the same resources, the same everything, we'd rather just have Nick there. Just, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's because you're better, but the problem is you're not in the same position as him currently. I'm not saying I necessarily care for Vance or whatever. I haven't gone through all the information. You know, I'm still increasing my political knowledge to this day. You know, this is just me giving my base opinions based off what I understand about the world and reality currently. But yeah, that's kind of like what it is. It's just it's like you make use of what you currently have until something better comes and then you use that. You know, it's better than just sitting still and waiting and hoping, if that makes sense. You got to inch forward. If you can take miles, take miles. But if you can only inch forward at the moment, just inch forward until you can take the miles.
have it be any way you like. You know, maybe it'll be someone that's hasn't been announced yet, but I'm never Vance. I'm never Vance. I'll never vote for a fat person. I will never vote for, you know, that whole Thanksgiving situation he had going on. But maybe we'll just agree to disagree.
I think I'll tell you something that you already know. You have massive political clout. You have massive political influence. Your attack vectors are something you need to think about heavily, because your attack vectors are not people coming to your door. Your attack vectors are some fucking retard shooting up a school with a list of bullshit in his pocket with your name on it. And and that's your attack vector. And I truthfully hope and wish that,
because that's how they fuck with Tate. I think there was actually one dude who killed somebody or was shooting somebody, and then they went through like they were checking like his computers and stuff, and they saw that he was watching Tate videos, and they were trying to basically link it. I think this was in the UK. They were trying to link it and be like, oh, well, he was watching Tate, he started shooting niggas, so Tate is bad. You know, so he's experienced that. So he's telling him now, like, hey, bro, watch out for that shit, because they'll use your name to act like you're causing people to be wild and or extreme, you know, or basically do things that you do not condone already, but you don't condone at all, but they just say you condone.
Absolute best for your movement in all ways. I think what you're doing is very positive. I think you're one of the most positive voices on the internet. I've never been against you with a lot of the things you say. I have views on certain people we disagree, and that's absolutely fine. And I truthfully wish the best for the group.
Yeah. I don't even really think that they even disagree on anything realistically. They honestly don't. I think it was way more, this even whole thing that happened on X was way more of a miscommunication than it was direct disagreement. But Knicks fans are loyal to him. So anybody who's even willing to say anything bad about him, they'll find your shit out, bro. They're going to research your dumb ass and find a way that you're linked to the enemy somehow. But I think really what this was just a miscommunication. I think they actually both agree on everything. I don't really think there's anything that they disagree with each other on, you know? So
movement and the best for America.
Or at least nothing significant, realistically. Maybe like, I'd rather live here than here. Maybe some shit like that, but nothing really from a political standpoint. No, they don't disagree with anything, with each other on anything.
America, and I'm an American too, and I'm going to be there in September, and I'm not against your movement at all in any way. I just explained why my brother and I were so pro-Vance, and I'm sure, perhaps, if the roles were reversed, if you were getting dragged in and out of Romanian courtrooms, which were a stitch-up, if you were getting thrown in and out of Romanian jail, if your assets were seized, if your Romanian kids were not allowed to be seen by you, if you were getting charged every 5 minutes for free speech violations for things you tweeted and things you said on emergency meetings, and the only American politician, the only one who said anything in your defense was a guy called JD Vance, you wouldn't say, yeah, but fuck you, Vance. You're probably not that stupid. So you'd probably sit there and go, well, that would be pretty retarded and ungrateful to do. You know more about Vance's history than I do. I'm just explaining why my brother and I supported him, because he was the one who was highlighting what was happening to us. And it's as transparent as that.
If I can come into this real quick, because I see here, and I actually, Andrew, you beat me to it. I wanted to get your perspective on, the current administration, because obviously me and Nick live in the United States. We're going to be a bit more critical of them because of, we have to deal with the
like niggas live here.
Decisions versus when I've seen JD go to Europe, he's been real good about calling out the European government for cucking and not allowing free speech, for saying that you guys need to put more money in when it comes to Ukraine, standing up to Zelensky. He was the one that actually started that argument at the White House with Zelensky saying you're being very disrespectful, etc. So
Yeah.
I can see from your position as an American living in Europe how JD Vance has helped you. Especially the other thing too I want to add, and I want to toss it to you so you can answer it, because I don't want to go too much in detail. Me and you have talked privately about this. We know that the Biden administration was heavily involved in your politicized prosecution, right? So anything compared to those dickheads is going to be better. So
Yeah,
from
well,
your-
I don't want
Go
to
ahead.
interrupt, but we have to think we have to make one
Go
thing very, very, very clear. It is extremely easy for the anon who has a cartoon profile picture and nobody knows his fucking name to sit there all day and be yelling at people like us, telling us who we should go against, what we should say, and all these things. But when you're the one who's literally having their life completely wrecked, you have to look at things in a different perspective.
And that's kind of why I was mentioning earlier the whole like the risk thing. You know, the point is, if somebody is risking a lot of shit and risking their life getting wrecked and their name dragged through the mud and all these different things, and then you have all these niggas that are not risking anything, are not becoming stronger, more capable, more important, or anything like that, and they're still trying to judge someone for what they're doing, it's kind of just stupid. You know, it's just generally disingenuous. You know, if you don't really understand what they're experiencing, what they're going through, it's so easy for you to sit there and say they should do this and do that. Well, it's just kind of like it's easy. Then it should be, well, why aren't you doing that? I mean, you can do it too. You can become strong too. You can become capable too. You can become charismatic and important too. You can do it too if you want to work for it. There's nothing that you can't have if you're willing to work for it. But you don't want to work for it, so you'd rather judge other people who do work for it and are biting the bullet. But imagine if everybody was working for it and biting the bullet. They can't stop all of you. They can't cancel everybody. They can't take away everybody's money. There's just too many, you know? So I understand why he's mad, too. And I agree with him on that shit, bro. It's like it's so easy to sit here and be a nobody and do nothing and then complain about other people who agree with the stuff you agree with and just tell them, oh, no, you should be doing this. You should be doing that. You should be moving this way. I'm like, well, you can also become as capable as me too, and then we could do it together. Because now I can actually collaborate with you because you're capable. But if you're some random nigga on X, it's like you're not really helping that much. So.
And I'll be honest, I don't give a shit that his wife is Indian. I give a shit that he was the one saying to the Romanian government, you can't do this to American citizens who have done nothing wrong. That's what I give a shit about. And I argue anybody else who was in a cockroach-infested jail cell would probably think the same, including Nick and including you, Myron. You'd sit there in jail and go, well, finally an American politician gives a shit because this is completely unfair. Now, maybe you're different than I. Maybe you would say, fuck you, I don't want your help. Your wife's Indian. Maybe you would. I don't know. But I'm saying that what I have seen of him in my own personal experience has been very positive. Doesn't mean he's a perfect person. Doesn't mean he's the best VP. Doesn't mean I know everything about him. Doesn't mean I even disagree with a lot of...
Even sidestepping kind of here, I want to actually talk about this because I also think it's very important. You know, you have to really get used to not expecting perfection from both yourself and kind of other people, you know? You want people to be as good as possible. You always want to strive to be better and improve as much as possible. Improvement should always be the goal in your mind with anything you do, right? I actually recently made a YouTube video talking about how like you should be more concerned with improving than being perfect because nobody can make a perfect move. Because the only way you can make perfect moves is if you can see the future, but you can't see the future, so you can't make perfect moves. So how do you become great? How do you become as strong as possible? How do you become very important? Well, you just are willing to get better. You're willing to make moves and improve. Make another move and improve. Make another move and improve. And you just do this over and over again. Because at least you might not be perfect. You might not represent everything you need to represent or be everything you need to be in order to accomplish great things. But at very bare minimum, you can accomplish a lot of shit just by doing things. Most people just don't fucking do anything. Most of you guys just don't do shit at all. You don't try to do anything. You don't risk anything. You don't do anything at all. So it's easy. And even going back to the whole disingenuous thing, it's super easy to judge people when you don't do anything. Because the only way you'll realize or stop judging other people is when you actually do things, right? And I'm not saying you can't judge anyone or criticize anyone. What I'm more saying here is that once you go through shit yourself and take a ton of risks and go through a bunch of bullshit, your opinions on things are naturally going to change because you actually are going through it. Real knowledge comes from real experience. You don't know anything if you haven't experienced anything. You just think you know because you've heard other people talk about it, but you only learn real knowledge when you go through it yourself, you know, or something similar yourself. So when you see other guys who've accomplished great things, you know, or they have a lot of things to their name because they've done so many things, and you sit there and kind of judge them for it. They're like, oh, they should be like this. They should have done this. They should have done that. Well, nobody can see the fucking future, bro. So of course you can sit there and say that, oh, they should have made all these different moves. But that's you just looking with hindsight and being like, they should have done this. There was a time when they had no fucking clue what was going to happen next. Your dumbass doesn't even know what's going to happen next. I don't even know what's going to happen next. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. None of us do. So we're always moving, making just bets all the time, meaning we're going to make mistakes, meaning we're going to be imperfect. So it's easy for you to sit here and criticize somebody who's actually doing things. But until you start doing things, you don't realize that, oh shit, I'm making a ton of mistakes because I just don't know what's going to happen next. You know? So the important things to extrapolate from all of this is just that you don't want to try to be perfect. You just want to desire to be better. And understand for that reason, because you just want to be better, because you can't be perfect, because you can't predict the future. Other people who become great and achieve great things also have had to do the same things. They've had to just been willing to get better. So no one's ever going to be exactly the way you want them to be. But at bare minimum, if they're striving to be a particular thing or be a particular way, then I believe you should respect that. I believe all men should respect that. You know, I'll never disrespect a man who's working ridiculously hard or hustling very hard. Sure, of course. You know, there could be some things that I disagree with somebody on, of course. And I'm like, you shouldn't do it like this or whatever. I'd be like, whatever. You know, but at the end of the day, you know, we're all making the bets on what we want to do. You know, so it's just important for you guys to understand that. Like, it's just weird expecting perfection when you don't do anything.
What you're saying. I'm just explaining why my brother and I would then support him. It's a very obvious link there. It's not a complicated conspiracy theory.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, the administration prior didn't say anything or help you guys out at all. So I'm completely, empathetic to your position on why you support him, because, you know, the U.S. government turned their back on you during Biden administration. At least
the U.S. government worked with the Brits to lock us up. Blinken signed it. Blinken himself said, get them. Like, this was the highest possible level matrix attack to the tip top. And if Kamala won, I'd be in jail for 25 years. So if anyone says, why does Andrew not go batting against the Trump admin? Well, I just think it would be disrespectful for me to do that. It's not that I don't disagree with a lot of the things they say. Mm-hmm. Perhaps it's just the old school honor code of thinking, well, okay, yes, everything Nick said is right. They shouldn't be marginally better than the Dems. Completely correct. They shouldn't have fucking bombed Iran. That was insane. They're doing lots of things wrong. Completely agree. Completely.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if you ever look at my brother and I's points of view, it's not some.
But see what I'm saying? What I mean by, like, they don't even actually disagree with each other on anything. They all agree on the same shit. It's just that different situations, experiences, and circumstances are just going to lead to different perspectives. But they agree on the same shit. They're all fighting the same fight at the end of the day, which is really just even the takeaway from all this shit. Like, niggas are just all talking about the same shit. They all have an issue with the same things. The eyes are all the same. Everybody's seeing the same shit or recognizing the same problems. You know? The enemy is all the same for everybody, bro. So, like, it's just like, all right, we got to get rid of these niggas, bro. Like, ASAP. That's just what it is. All this other kind of stuff is like random side beef. It's like, it doesn't fucking matter. It's just like, we got to get rid of the main niggas. So that's what's important.
Conspiracy. We're not paid. The American admin don't even talk to us because we're so toxic. We're not on their team in any way. We don't have direct link to any of them. It's just a matter of sitting there going, well, at least they highlighted the problem that was happening to us personally. Mm-hmm. Very much like if Vance were to visit a fucking family farm somewhere in Colorado and help them with their fucking wheat harvest, I'm sure they'd be pro-Vance, irregardless of what of his other shit is.
Which is true.
That's all it is. So
I mean, that's how most niggas vote. Most niggas just vote based off who they like. It's not even really about any deep of understanding of policy or anything like that. Like, niggas are not out here studying policy. Most people don't even really give a fuck about politics at all. They're just like, all right, I like that dude and I like that dude. Literally how I said at the beginning of this stream, like, all the way back during the Obama era, is like, even my whole understanding of politics was, oh, black man president? All right, bet. Like, I fuck with that. It's like, there's no thought behind that shit. Most people are just like that anyway. So
I actually enjoy these conversations. I enjoy learning some of the things you guys know. I enjoy hearing your perspective. I'm not arguing against it. I'm just explaining why my brother, especially, my brother more than me. In fact, if you look at my account, you see hardly any. My brother especially supported Vance because he was the only one he saw on TV calling for Romania to be a fair democratic country. And Tristan has 7 Romanian children. That's all it is. It's not a complicated conspiracy theory. That's all it was.
Yeah, no, your perspective, I
Yeah.
completely understand it, right? And that's why I think it was very important, for us to kind of, because people don't understand the position that you're in as an American dual citizen living in Europe. It's a completely different perspective. So I totally get it. I did want to get into the Iran war a little bit. I don't know, Andrew, how much time you have, or you, Nick. If you guys want to save it for later or keep going, but I did want to get into Iran, but I don't want to hold anybody up. If you guys got to go, that's totally cool, but I'll leave it to you guys.
Yeah, I got to get going pretty
Okay.
soon, but we could pick it up another time.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll save that one for next time.
But once again, I wish you guys the best, the absolute best. You probably notice I'm enjoying my summer. So I'm glad you guys are holding it down and keeping it real and saying all the racist things that need to be said. So
though. But anyway, so what we'll do here is like, how much time I wanted to keep going. Speaking of time, I'll probably keep going for maybe like 10, 15 more minutes. I want to see what they were discussing in the beginning, because I think there's still a few other things that I want to like see, and then probably when I stream either tomorrow or beginning of next week on like Monday, we'll just pick right back up until we finish this, and then we can also go finish Tate's previous interview with PBD too. But we'll just anyway.
Wish you the best, that I'm not your enemies in any way, and I'm always happy to come online and discuss and explain why any of our points of view or any of the things we retweet or XYZ come across a certain way. Anyone who believes I'm a Fed, I strongly think you should have your head checked. And I'd love to know where these Feds are when I'm getting thrown in jail. And anyone who thinks I'm pro-Jew, I'd love to know where their money is, because I don't have any of that shit. So I know the truth, and I think most people actually know the truth. There's just some extreme people on the right who are going to call everybody a Jew no matter what. And I wish you guys the absolute best. I wish America the absolute best. I'm coming to America, and nobody's 100% right about anything. Everybody's a little bit wrong. And that's what's so fantastic about the human condition.
Well, it's just like, I mean, you should never believe you're 100% right about anything. There's always just room for understanding more, because you can't experience everything in all places all at the same time. And we're all living once so far. Obviously, there's information and whatever, but new experiences create new ideas and new things, right? But that's just how I see it. I think you should never, just because this is important, you've probably heard this many times before, but it's important to understand that you should never want to know everything, ever, at any point in time. Why would you want to know everything? It means you can't grow anymore, right? You can't improve unless you lack something. You can't get better unless you are lacking. If you're the best or you've improved and that's it, it's like it's over. There's nothing else to do. You always have to strive to know more and grow more and be more. The only way you can make good decisions is by becoming as knowledgeable as possible, generally speaking, anyway. What you don't know is always what hurts you the most. Israel was actually one of those topics where a lot of Americans didn't know, and they didn't realize how much they were controlling our government and how much money they were taking for us to bomb kids, which they could have been used on us to make Americans' lives better. That's just an example of what a lack of knowledge can do. This is why striving for more knowledge is just so ridiculously important, because it's actually a form of protection. It's a form of what I'll call mental protection. Physical protection, you understand, you should be in the gym, or get a firearm. For example, like you understand, like to protect yourself physically, that's what you do. But people kind of underrate that or at least many men underrate that from a mental perspective. The only way you can protect your mind is if you know things, if you're aware of things, if your knowledge is consistently growing. So you do always have to be in that position where you never believe you know everything. And because you never know everything, you should indefinitely be learning. You should never be at any point in your life believe, okay, I know everything I need to know. No, you don't. You don't know everything you need to know, because you haven't even lived an entire life yet, especially as a young guy too, like you haven't lived enough life yet. How do you know everything? Like every single day that you grow older, your wisdom grows because you're experiencing more life as you're learning things. So naturally, everything is expanding. You should never be in your mind, be like, okay, I know everything I need to know. Literally about anything you're pursuing, any of the goals you're pursuing, anything like that. You should never be in a position where you're like, okay, I know everything I got to know. No, there's always more you can know. And the more you know, the better, right? Can you be too strong? Can you be too well protected? No, you can't. You can always be better at these things. You always are going to have enemies. You think everybody just fucks with you or likes you, or everybody cares about what your goals are or what you want to do with your life. Like, no, people have their own interest. And because they have their own interest, you have to be prepared to protect yourself. And the only way you can do that, as we already aligned from a physical perspective, you get a firearm, you be in the gym, you learn a martial art. And then from a mental perspective, it's only from becoming more knowledgeable and learning more about the world and always expanding your knowledge on different things and talking about different things and hearing different perspectives. Because when you take your perspective and another person's perspective, you'll realize something new. That's the whole point of discussion. That's why discussion and talking is valuable in itself. It's why communication is valuable. You just realize and learn new things. But point is, y'all, just always keep your mind open. You know, using the term open-minded sounds kind of gay nowadays, but you have to keep yourself in this position where you just never think you know too much, ever. Like, you always have to have doubt in how much you know. You know, not in a bad way, of course, but in that kind of way where I'm learning a lot and I have to keep learning to ensure that I can continue to protect myself kind of way. So that makes sense for y'all niggas, bro. Go ahead.
All need to have different points of view, and hopefully if enough people have enough different points of view, we can get somewhere near the truth. So thanks again for the conversation. I really enjoyed it, and I'm happy to do it again absolutely anytime.
Did you guys want to tell them what we're thinking about in September? It's up to you guys if you want to.
Well, I know I'm going to be in America in September, so I'm going to be around. So I don't have anything really that planned, but you know me, Myron, you know me. So just I'll be blowing up your phone anyway, whether we work or we don't work. So absolutely. I'll be around. And, you know, one more thing to really keep in consideration that's so important about this internet world and Twitter and Rumble and all these comments and all this bullshit. I've never had anyone say anything negative to me in person ever, male or female. I've never had a woman even say anything negative. In fact, they come up to me and they dote adoringly. So, you know, all of us are massive cultural forces. We're all massively loved by the general population. And that's a fantastic thing to finally feel after suffering so much to tell the truth. So I think we should all be very proud of ourselves, and we should enjoy it for what it is. And we should continue to do our very best to be entertaining and tell the truth at a level that people can understand and digest. And hopefully we can, us three plus whoever else, can work together long enough to make a genuine impact.
It's going to be too lit when I get up there and start talking about shit. Just saying, because obviously that's the ambition for your boy, bro. You know, that's what I try to be for y'all anyway. You know, talking about all the shit that I talk about in terms of achieving your goals and becoming successful. Like I can be that, and I need to be that, and I am that pretty much. Like, you know, you don't even have time to think you're going to become something. Just be something, and then you have to work every day to prove it. So that's the work that I do. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, nah, bro, I'm gonna be cooking, bro, because these niggas are gonna get old, bro. I mean, Nick's kind of young. Nick's only 26, but Myron's already in his 30s. Tate's in his 30s. You know, young niggas need to come up. I'm only 24, bro, so I'm gonna be up there cooking, bro. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, we'll see. You know, the future has a lot to hold for your boy, so we'll keep cooking it up, man.
On the culture, because all these evil people, these scumbags, this big club we're not in, they are dying, and I don't see a future for Israel with the new current generation. I don't see a future for a lot of these things.
That's why I'm also like so lit off my ass, bro. I'm like, oh yeah, we're by the time, bro, in like 10 years time, 10, 20 years time, especially as I grow more powerful and just more people just know about, you know, Israel's supremacy over our government, bro. They're so cooked, bro. Like, they're so cooked. That's why it's just so lit. Like, they're so fucking cooked, bro. Like, they're so cooked, y'all. Like, it's lit, bro. It's really honestly lit.
Considering that the youth, the future voters, the future policemen, the future lawyers, exactly like Nick highlighted, are going to be fans of mine, fans of Myron's, and fans of Nick Fuentes. It's going to be a very different world. So I think we do our very best to keep that in mind and keep it contained.
This type of shit that I love to hear, bro. Like, just the type of shit, bro, at least for me, because I really appreciate these guys a lot, bro. Like, I'm telling you, like, the telling the truth shit is just nothing more powerful than it. Having honor, integrity is just like, it's crazy. It feels so great to be somebody who's willing to actually die to tell the truth, or having extreme honor and integrity about a lot of different things. It's just so fucking important. It's a lost art, and it's a lost art that comes from a lack of masculinity, honestly. So, you know, just hearing this type of shit just hypes me up so much. Like, I'm going to cook so hard, y'all. I just got to cook so hard, and y'all got to cook so hard. Everybody just got to be cooking so hard, bro. So,
and keep it as effective as possible. And we enjoy the battle for what it is. And whatever happens, we all get to go down in history, which is a fantastic thing to know. And hopefully it all ends up well for us, because we've pissed some very powerful people off. And as it currently stands, I've suffered the most so far, but I'm not dead. And I hope that none of us end up there, and none of you have to go through what I went through. So let's just keep up the good fight and never give up. Unfazed.
Absolutely. So what I'll tell the people this, guys, tentatively look for September 19th. I know me and Nick had something set up for September 19th. We'll try to get Andrew in there. If things switch around, obviously I'll update you guys immediately. But right now, mark your calendars for September 19th. Hopefully Andrew can make it in. Or even if he comes in the day after, right? We can, do something with Nick on the 19th, then Andrew comes in and we do something else, right? They'll be in town for a bit, so we'll definitely make it crazy. Bring them on with some girls. It'll be a good time in Miami. Maybe do some vlogs, stuff like that. Nick, what about you, man? Are you going to do America First tonight?
Yes.
What time are you going to go live? I'll make sure I get off and move everybody over.
What time?
Yeah.
Oh, nighttime. I'm thinking sometime after.
I guess you are black.
Night. I don't know. Probably 9:30-ish. We'll shoot for. But yeah, no, great conversation. And Andrew, likewise, I don't consider you an enemy at all. I consider you a friend, and it's good to just get on the stream and just talk. And it's different perspectives. And it's
this shit clean. Like, these niggas did do more of this shit. This shit is clean, bro. This shit is clean as fuck. Like, they need to do more of this shit. This was just like, anyway. We even still need to go back through to watch most of this shit. I don't even know at what minute I fucking started, but we even need to go back through to watch this shit. But anyway.
Different views. And that's really what it's about. It's no gatekeepers, no censorship, none of that shit. As long as people can get together. And, I think, like you said, we're all 90% on the same side. That's what counts. So great conversation, fellas. Let's pick it up again soon.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right, guys. I'll see y'all. I'm going to stay on stream, guys, if you're watching. Definitely, once Nick goes live, I'll move everybody over there and I'm going to get off. So let me know, Nick, if you do get a time. I know you're on black people time, though, even though you're white.
I will.
All right, man. Later, guys.
All right. See you guys.
All right. All right, chat. I'll see you, Andrew. Peace out, brother. All right, guys. So hold on one sec. I'm going to go ahead.
All right. So let me see.
W stream, ninjas. W stream.
So he might be. Let me see if he just keep, because he's still live right now. I want to see if I can go back through. What minute are we at? Minus 40. 3 hours.
Us. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, this nigga Sneeko, bro. What the fuck, bro? Wait, hold on. Let me just see what they talking about real quick.
Because, I've seen them put people on that, have no influence. Nobody knows. But it's because maybe they're a UFC fighter or whatever the fuck. Oh, we're going to bring him on or whatever. Right? Because they know him through Dana or whatever. So I don't think it's a clout thing. It's just these guys are controversial. I'm scared thing. Right? But then y'all going to go do an interview with Netanyahu, who is literally a war criminal murderer. And it's like, oh, fuck.
Oh, they're talking about.
So bad.
They're talking about fucking. Oh, actually, shout out to Sneeko, though. I actually, for the fan podcast that I do where I go talk to niggas on the street, I actually saw him doing that. I'm like, bro, I should start doing that shit. I could actually be so clean with that. So that's actually why I started doing that shit, which I'm actually probably going to drop one tomorrow. I'm trying to get it so it actually can be live so you guys can just watch the shit live. So I'm saving up bread for that. I think I actually mentioned that last stream. But anyway, I'm saving up bread for that so that I can actually get the equipment so I can just do it actually live fully. So I can stream it on Rumble and YouTube and the whole 9 yards of shit. But yeah. So I'm probably going to be dropping one on my YouTube full one tomorrow and Saturday. If not tomorrow, then I'll definitely have one up Saturday, or it'll be both days. But I'll see. I'm trying to organize some shit right now to make that shit happen for you young bulls. So just gotta make shit happen for the fam. But anyway, I just want to see a little bit what these niggas are talking about. And then I think what we'll do, since we're going live, because I actually want him to just post this so I can go through it. So I can go through the raw part that I haven't seen at the beginning for you guys. So I just want to see a little bit more of what they're talking about here. Then I think I'm gonna hop off, and I should either be back tomorrow, or what I'll do latest is Monday, and then we'll pick back up and talk about this shit. So anyway,
bring these guys on that we have blacklisted. You know what I mean? So that was my thing. And then the other thing that was really annoying, when I was explaining to them the Hannibal Directive was enacted that day. Dumbass 90 called me a conspiracy theorist. I'm like, bro, you don't even know.
Oh yeah, he's talking about how basically Myron and fucking basically the Nelk boys had Netanyahu on, who's the prime minister of Israel. That shit was hella controversial. Them niggas were basically get canceled for that shit. They're like, oh fuck. Then they started talking to all the right-wing niggas that openly talk about Israel and all the issues that they're causing or whatever. And yeah, so that's kind of the conversation that they're having here now. All right, I'm gonna just watch this for 2-3 more minutes, and then I'm gonna hop off.
Oh, what the fuck you're talking about? You're over here telling me I'm a conspiracy.
He said
this
that
sounds crazy, Myron. Yeah. It's true.
He said that to me too.
And then you know what's funny? Bassem Youssef said all the same shit I said,
and they were quiet.
And they shut the fuck up.
Well, because they wanted to recover. You know,
bro,
they wanted They're
They're
winding
over there
that
fucking
recovery.
eating and shit as I'm explaining everything.
They
Like
were
they didn't take it
vaping during
serious.
the interview and drinking
Vaping,
wine.
bro.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
I'm actually surprised he even has. I mean, he wasn't. I guess. I mean, because he talks about that shit too. So I guess he could have been on there as well if they did like 4, like him, Sneeko, or Myron, Sneeko, Tate, and Nick. Like they all like that. Actually, would have been cool to see too. But whatever.
The fuck, like, bro, y'all in your 30s. What the hell? But when Bassam Youssef came in there and literally took the same talking points I had, almost literally identical. They didn't say shit. So it's like, bro, just annoying. But again,
Anyway, actually, all right, bro. I think we'll hop off for now, and then, like I said, I'll fuck with you boys again on Monday or tomorrow. We'll see. But as always, I'm gonna be making sure I'm planning out a lot of shit for you niggas, bro. Okay, let's get it. 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 And excuse me. All right, first I just want to show y'all boys the fucking socials so you guys can go follow your boy up on all this shit. I'll make it fast for you guys too. Hold on. All right. So first and foremost, follow your boy on the YouTube, FAM, Aliara Gundade, man. As you can see, we're live on here right now. You know what I'm saying? And as always, you know, posting videos on success and what it takes to become successful and achieving your goals. Literally just dropped one talking about what you really need to understand about willpower, because a lot of guys, you know, they don't use their willpower in a way that actually helps them become extremely successful. So definitely go check that shit out for sure. But Aliara Gundade for the YouTube. And then on X2, we got 10 people watching the X. Shout out to you boys watching me on X, of course. I'm going to like my own shit because you got to be your number one supporter. But if you are watching this shit on X, then definitely like all my shit up. Going hard as possible on X2, because I really want to grow on there, because it's just great for like political conversations and just talking about a lot of shit. So definitely follow your boy on X, of course. You know what I'm saying? Like my shit up, all that, whole 9 yards, Aliara Gundade. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I didn't even switch the shit to whatchamacallit. Let me make sure I can switch it for you guys. So boom, there's the X right there. Aliara Gundade. All right. Bada bing, bada pow. Boom, there's the X right there. Fuck with your boy on the X. I'll just flash the YouTube again too, because I want to make sure that you guys are able to see the YouTube too. It's the same thing. It's the same shit too. So Aliara Gundade. Fuck with your boy on here. And then we'll do IG too. Just nice success shorts that I just post on here too. Just important stuff, success tips, the whole 9 yards. You know what I'm saying? Aliara Gundade on Instagram. The link's in the bio too, so if you guys ever want to see it there too, the link's in it's going to be in the Rumble bio. And then last but not least, fuck with your boy on the TikTok. Even though it's a really shitty app and it's annoying, just fuck with your boy on here, because we got to grow the fam everywhere. Of course, Aliara Gundade. And then with that being said, if you're watching on Rumble, definitely like the video too, so more guys can see this. More guys who want to achieve their goals, become ambitious as possible, or already as ambitious as possible, and want to know what it takes to be able to achieve your goals, then fuck with your boy on Rumble, of course. So like this shit, so more guys can see this shit, of course. And yeah, so I'm probably gonna catch you boys either tomorrow 6 p.m. or it'll be Monday 6 p.m. One of the two, because I'm planning shit out. If not, there's definitely going to be a podcast that I'm probably going to post either Friday or Saturday, so you guys can definitely check that shit out on my YouTube. So yeah, man, I'll catch you boys either tomorrow or Monday. Deuces, fam.